Humanity, our feet is in, it's time to say goodbye. The party's over as the laughter dies.
I know. Who am I to criticize a Pulitzer Prize winner? The Road, written by Cormac McCarthy, is one of those rare stories for which the movie is better than the book. This is a harrowing, effective novel balancing despair with hope in a post-apocalyptic setting, but McCarthy's unconventional style made the book difficult to absorb. It's a good book, but not the modern classic many critics see it as. The Road follows an unnamed father and son, played by Viggo Mortensen and Cody Smit-McPhee in the film, as they slowly make their way to the coast. The world has been blighted by an unseen catastrophe, and the father and son must scavenge for food and avoid the roving gangs and cannibals that stalk the road. McCarthy's hard-hitting descriptions are remarkably vivid, rendering a dead, desolate world and the daily horrors it contains. In the movie and the book, a dull ash gray is the predominant color, and McCarthy coaxes a grim beauty from his dark, lifeless environments. You feel the main characters' hunger and exhaustion, and their plight is conveyed with a bittersweet feel. Every time they find food, the father and reader realize that this will only prolong the misery of living in a dead world. Civilization is gone, and every building has been ransacked by the survivors. The father and son are two of the only decent, moral people left. The main characters are carrying the fire of humanity, a metaphor with more context than the robins in Blue Velvet. The Road is a depressing experience, but the father and son share an uplifting bond. The father must comfort his son and keep him alive, but also depends on his son to preserve his humanity and treat others right. The Road is a bleak but ultimately hopeful tale of humanity surviving even in the end of the world. So why wasn't I thrilled by this novel? One word: formatting. I have no idea why McCarthy chose to forego proper punctuation. The lack of commas may mimic the feverish perception of starved, desperate people. When you're hungry, you've got no time to speak slowly and correctly, but commas divide up sentences so that you can rest and take in what you've read. Without commas, you need to reread the long sentences several times to grasp the whole description, as McCarthy keeps piling on more information. The lack of quotation marks is also a major problem, as you'll often lose track of whether someone is talking or whether McCarthy is laying down the scenery. Without punctuation, the speech, thoughts, and third-person narration are all indistinguishable, which is very confusing. I suppose McCarthy may have omitted punctuation to show that language has no value anymore, after the apocalypse wiped out all culture and civilization, but this brings me back to my Blue Velvet review. Lynch may have intended for flat acting, a slow pace, contrived dialogue, and goofy, over-the-top villainy in his movie, and may have put these in there for a purpose, but this does not excuse the fact that the acting, dialogue, and motivations are still terrible. We scoffed at M. Night Shyamalan when he claimed that The Happening was supposed to be a cheesy B-movie, so why do we accept Lynch when he does it? I look for good acting, interesting characters, and clever dialogue in a movie, and Blue Velvet did not deliver. Don't worry, I'm not turning into confused Matthew. The dialogue is another flaw in The Road. In contrast with the lyrical descriptions of the lifeless countryside, the dialogue is bare bones in its simplicity. The tone, expression, and mannerisms of the characters are rarely acknowledged, so it's sometimes difficult to gauge what the father and son are feeling. At worst, some of the lines seem flat and emotionless when they should be profound and serious. The most glaring example is on page 277, after the father catches up to a thief and leaves him with nothing. He put on their shoes and then stood and walked up the road, but he couldn't see the thief. He came back and stood over the boy. "He's gone," he said. "Come on." "He's not gone," the boy said. He looked up, his face streaked with soot. "He's not." "What do you want to do?" "Just help him, Papa. Just help him." The man looked back up the road. "He was just hungry, Papa. He's going to die." "He's going to die anyway." "He's so scared, Papa." The man squatted and looked at him. "I'm scared," he said. "Do you understand? I'm scared." The boy didn't answer. He just sat there with his head bowed, sobbing. "You're not the one who has to worry about everything." The boy said something, but he couldn't understand him. "What?" he said. He looked up, his wet and grimy face. "Yes, I am," he said. "I am the one." This is genuinely how this conversation sounded in my head. The son stands up to his father and reminds him that he too is worried about their survival, but this display of maturity feels like a dull monotone. This is where the movie improved vastly on the book. Cody Smit-McPhee is a remarkable child actor, and he and Mortensen project the full emotional impact of every scene. This means that the characters' emotions are never ambiguous, unlike McCarthy's novel. The Road is a poignant, atmospheric drama with a stark yet richly detailed setting in the post-apocalyptic world. The bleak environment of the novel and the human decency of its protagonists are what carry this book, as the formatting issues and limited punctuation made The Road somewhat flat and difficult to read. Cormac McCarthy's novel was adapted into one of my favorite films of the year, and the film is very faithful to the source novel. I recommend the movie over the book, as the strength of the acting makes the emotion clearer and more believable. I give Cormac McCarthy's The Road 3 out of 5 stars. And since I forgot to give Blue Velvet a star rating, here it is now. 1 star. Thank you for watching. Cheers.
Humanity, it's au revoir to your insanity. You sold your soul to feed your vanity. Your